Chapter 27 and 28 of NIKKE paved the way for our next break in the story. With the introduction of the third surface reclamation and the encounter with Reptilian, the group has ventured into unknown territory, an area the Ark had information on, yet hadn't touched for decades. During our time in these two chapters, we are introduced to a new NIKKE, one Shifty deems as the Unknown. As always, this video is going to contain spoilers from the most recent chapters, and if you don't want to be spoiled, this is your fair warning now. At the latter half of chapter 28, our team encounters the epicenter of the Crystal City. At its core, we find a mysterious NIKKE encased in crystal with scattered medical equipment surrounding it. The crystals, according to the Ark, are very similar to the cordyceps fungus. Its reach is far and wide, with the electrical concentration growing towards its core. Rappy's urge to destroy this crystal immediately set up alarm bells in my head. Briefly, I'm just going to say this. This is most likely Anichiro, the second generation Grimm's model and the first instance of Rapture NIKKE fusing. She was the first heretic that humanity encountered, and the catalyst for both the discovery and synthesization of Vaphaus. Though Goddess had defeated Anichiro, we never got a confirmation on her death, and if NIKKE has taught me anything during my time exploring the story, it's that unless specified, nothing is truly dead. Marion and Johan are prime examples of this, written off as dead by the central government, only to resurface from the ashes later. There's also evidence of Anichiro surviving in chapter 19, when Papillon discovers old research notes on Vaphaus' effects on Anichiro. Keep in mind, during the Red Ash cutscene, that weapon didn't exist. This means that they encountered Anichiro again, and this time, Vaphaus was their ace in the hole. Some time has passed since these events, and now, with better understanding on how heretics survive, several questions are raised. The biggest is the notion that this unknown NIKKE isn't guarding Anichiro to revive her, but instead to keep her in an eternal slumber. We are entirely unaware of the motives of this NIKKE. However, there is one thing that immediately caught my attention. The unknown isn't registered in the Ark's database, and by a cursory scan, Shifty is unable to identify anything close to her. This only happens in rare instances, such as with the Pilgrims. Despite being members of the Goddess unit, all of their information has been lost to time. Though we are unaware of how other NIKKEs have escaped the Ark's records, such as the White Knights, we do know that in certain circumstances, these events are covered up. The interesting thing about this NIKKE is her weapon. Her weapon is a variation of the Seven Dwarfs. If we look through both Snow White and Innocent Day's weaponry, there is only one that is missing. Seven Dwarfs model number 7. Through Snow White's Bond story, we know that some of her equipment became damaged far beyond repair. Roaming the surface, she didn't have enough resources to conduct proper maintenance. This, coupled with the Mind Switch, could lead Snow White to abandon weaponry to keep moving. Hell, she was more than willing to do it to aid the commander's safety in her Bond story. Model number 7 could have been discarded, and the whereabouts remain an entire mystery. There are several crackpot theories floating around regarding who this unknown exactly is, and though I cannot say for certain at this time, I believe she's a part of a new NIKKE faction. The central government loves to keep secrets locked away from the public, and to a certain degree, they also do this slowly by removing evidence of past operations. Take the Goddess unit for example. Through time, all of their events have become lost to history. This is where an interesting point comes into play. The unknown retreats from our group through an elevator, one leading to an undisclosed location. If you'll recall from Overzone's story, the group created a temporary camp near the Ark's final entrance. In addition to this, supply elevators were plentiful scattered throughout the surface. Some of these elevators were also ordered to be destroyed by the Ark. We don't know the locations of these elevators or their proximity to the Ark now. However, the possibility arises that this could be one of those elevators. So, this leaves a question as to what exactly lays beneath the surface here. The central government are no strangers to secrecy, and as much as they can, try to sweep all their darker moments under the rug as well. Of course, this is just a theory, but isn't that why we love stories as intricate as these? In the lost relics found in chapter 23, there are also reported sightings of this NIKKE as well. Another working theory here is the fact that this could possibly either be Pine, or a previous Grimm's model from the second generation. The main fact being that she's using Snow White's weaponry, specifically what we believe to be the Seventh Dwarf. For those of you who've forgotten, the 7th dwarf was originally meant for Red Hood. However, with time, it became inoperable in combat. From what I believe right now, the only people who could use this weaponry, or even modify it, will be people around Snow White during her time in Goddess or during Overzone. Regardless of who this character's real identity may be, this is probably the most interesting part of the new chapters. That along with Neon being a bit more mysterious than we thought, though that's grounds for a video all in itself. The final question lingers as to what exactly these crystals are doing. Are they acting as a prison for Anichiro, or is the unknown slowly trying to revive her? If this isn't Anichiro, then who could this encased Nikke possibly be? I would love to hear all of your opinions down in the comment section below, and of course, if there's anything that I missed, please point them out to me as well. Discussions on Nikke's lore is something that's always encapsulated my attention, and every time new chapters drop, I wait with bated breath to blast through the entirety of it live on stream. Nikke's story is something I wait for with great anticipation, and I'm glad the story is kicking it into high gear once again. One thing is for certain though, we have quite a story to delve into for the next half Annie when it drops. This is a similar setup to chapters 22 to 24 in Nikke's story. Chapter 22 acted more as an intro sequence to the entire tragedy that befell the arc, and it seems like chapter 27 and 28 are building up to a big conclusion when we hit chapters 29 and 30. With the introduction of a new pilgrim and this lingering mystery, sadly, all we can do now is patiently wait.